Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Shells. We're just outside for a minute here. We're actually working in the shop today. Today is a car video, but we're just rearranging a couple cars. This Bronco here was parked on the frame machine. I'm going to get started on this one, and this is the one we're going to do a quick video on here. But I just wanted to pull this off. We have this Charger over here. I think it's a 17. I'm not positive. It's not mine. Friend of mine. 3.6. Yeah, it's a 6-cylinder. All-wheel drive. It's hitting the front. We got to do a little framework on it, and then we have to paint a pile of Fast and Furious body kit parts for it. So it's gonna be like it's gonna be the fastest looking Dodge Charger 6-cylinder in the Midwest. And then we got this 2020 Ford Expedition for another friend of mine. It needs a couple doors on the passenger side. It's hitting the left front, so we got to do a little framework on the left front and paint some new sheet metal, not sheet, sheet aluminum, and get that put together. But what we're going to talk about here today for just a little bit is body work on the Bronco here. So this is what you would call in the Midwest a 20-footer. It's 20 feet away. It's a good looking truck. The closer you get, the worse it gets. Story behind this is it came out of Copart in California. A friend of mine bought it, and it's actually a rather solid truck. I mean, it is clean underneath. Quarters are clean, but the paint is less than desirable. So what I want to show you today is what not to do when you're doing body work. These are some quick, simple points. And what we're going to talk on, I'm going to try to show you the best I can here on video. And hopefully out in the sun it'll help. You can see all these cracks right here. Okay. And then we got some cracks right here. And we got a lot of cracks right there. I'll try to get it in the sun. You can see all that. Okay. So if you're an old Bronco guy like we are, you know that that's where the spare tire rack was. And I think I know what's going on underneath there. We'll talk about that in a minute. Besides a bunch of nicks and scratches and stuff like that, then we've got this area here. And I don't know if I'm going to try to get that in the sun. I don't know if you can see. I mean, I ground all this off just playing the other day, but it's cracked across here, and I don't know what is going on across that. But again, if you're an old Bronco guy, you know what's supposed to be there. Moving on to the hood. We got a big dent right here. Whatever. That's not part of today's problem. We got a bunch of cracks here, bunch of cracks here, bunch of cracks here, and a bunch of cracks here. And you can also see, bring it up here if it comes in close or not. There's a circle there, a circle there, a circle there, 2 circles there, and I can't see them on this side. And if you're an old Ford guy like I am, like I said, that's where the Ford letters were originally on the hood. Cowl on this side, same thing. I mean, can you see how bad that is? I don't know what is going on there. But we're going to find out. We're going to get the grinder out. I'm going to pull it in the shop so we can, hopefully the sun will be, I thought the sun would be better to show it out here, and then we're going to get it in the shop here. I'm going to do some rearranging. We're going to get the grinder out, and I'm going to show you what's under there and why it's doing it and why you don't do it this way. Sound good? All right, hang on. Well, it runs decent, I will say. It needs a fuel system service pretty bad. You can smell the fuel from here. It is, you know, that old barn fuel smell. I don't know how long this thing's been sitting, but the fuel system, that fuel stinks. I mean, it's just rotten. All right, so we got her in the shop, and what the tool of choice is going to be is the 3M 2-inch roll lock. This is 60 grit, just on an angle grinder. I'm going to throw my respirator on. I'm going to take down these 3 spots. Then we'll come back. We'll talk about what's going on. Okay? Here we go. All right, so if you guessed that there's holes underneath of there, you are correct. That is the one of the biggest no-nos of bodywork. So I think we have a couple things going on here. There is a, let's bring you in here. All right. Now, this is what I got. I have a hole here, hole here, hole here, hole here, hole here. I'm assuming that's another hole. So that is not necessarily where the spare tire rack was bolted on at. This looks like, to me, is this quarter panel was damaged and they drilled these holes maybe to pull the dents back out. That's the old school way they used to do it. Again, that's a no-no. Or it had an antenna bolted to it or whatever. Obviously, we don't know the history of this truck. So this here, you can see that. That's the spare tire. The nut clip is still in there. I can push that in. So the nuts that hold the bolts on are still in there. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So again, 2 holes. And this is where the rest of it was. Right there. And it's still, yep. See, the spring thing is still on there. Whoops, sorry. You're not zoomed in, are you? You can see here that the spring thing is still in there. So what happens is when you mud over a hole like that, it, yeah, you bury it in Bondo. I get it. But it allows moisture to get up behind it and then get between the metal and the Bondo. And that's pretty thick Bondo there. So when you get that moisture trapped up in there, it rusts. And then when it rusts, it pushes the Bondo out, which cracks the paint. So up here on the cowl, and from my memory, it should have a Bronco emblem right here. So I'm assuming there's a couple pinholes underneath there where the Bronco thing attaches to. But I have no idea why this looks so bad right here. But let's do some investigating. Huh? Okay, well, same thing. I think you're already zoomed in here. There's our 4 holes. Where the Bronco, yeah. Now, why that surface looks so bad, I really don't know. There's not. I was expecting to find a bunch of rust and stuff under here, but it's actually super clean. But what they did is they took a hammer and they pounded all them down. So now that's why they had so much mud in there. They pounded all the holes and then filled them up. But again, the moisture gets behind there and it just gets behind that mud and it expands that mud. It just turns into a mess. Other than that, I think it might just been poor prep work on that part. So let's move to the front. So I left this one here a little, how would you say, muddier. And you can see that rust. And it is physical, not physical, obvious. that that's what's going on. So there's the one hole for the emblem, and there's the other hole. Same thing all the way across. And this is why you don't do this. And I don't care if you're doing work for somebody else. If you plan on being a reputable builder, you don't do work like that. The other side of it, so that you never mud over holes, you never mud over rust. The proper way to do this is to weld these holes shut. Slowly and carefully weld the holes shut. This back here, we're not welding shut. We're gonna cut this out and we're just gonna put new metal in. I don't know how big, we'll figure it out when we get there because we're gonna take this down. So my job is to basically go through and fix all the obvious correctly, and then we'll get, we're gonna do a complete respray on it just to freshen it up. We're gonna pull the topper off. The topper's gonna get done in a different black. It won't be shiny, but regardless, we're gonna do a complete respray, and then I believe he ran the VIN numbers on this thing, and it is an original freewheeling package truck. So he did order the freewheeling package decals and all that for it, and he's tracking down some of the freewheeling package stuff for the inside of the truck. So it's got to get the interior updated. We got to get the motor tuned up and cleaned up, the fuel system service. This thing stinks. I mean, I can smell it just standing here. But anyways, so if you want to follow along with this build, hit the subscribe button. That way you can see the videos when they come out. And I'm going to try to keep them short and simple and to the point. And then we'll get it all done and do some cruising with it. Get the top off, right? So anyways, hope you like this one. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.